Namaste, Jai Bharat. Let us talk about the Aryan Invasion theory, which had gone into the minds of people in such a manner that it had become certainties with many people. First of all, let's see the Aryan, Aryan. Where do you find that term first in the history of mankind's knowledge? You needn't to go any further or anywhere else to search. The term Aryan or the concept of Aryan you find in the Rig Veda itself. Rig Veda. It's undoubtedly Rig Veda is the first ever book of mankind. I am not saying first ever written book of mankind because the writing part of Vedas and other many texts of Bharata happens much later after the Shruti Smriti tradition. It's from the Shruti Smriti tradition which were oral. They got composed later by Maharshi Vyasa and his team, we all know it. Now, Rig Veda, you find the expression of Aryan as Praja Arya Jyotiragra, which means that the Aryans are people who are led by light and are those who are seeking light. They are in search of light and also are led by light. Light here, of course, obviously means knowledge, wisdom, Sanskriti, etc. So, there are many other references. You find the meaning of Arya in the 4th century lexicon, Amarakosha, and etc. Many places. Manusmriti also has reference about the idea of Aryans. So, primarily, fundamentally, the concept of Aryan is essentially Vedic, which automatically becomes essentially Bharatiya. And when Rig Veda says Aryan or Aryas are those people who seek light and who are guided by light, means wisdom, knowledge. It automatically and without much explanation, one should understand that it's a quality concept. Arya is a quality concept. It's simple. Quality concept means the ones who have these stipulated qualities are termed as Aryan. Aryan, whatever. And anyone who is possessing these qualities could be termed Arya, and suppose one loses these qualities, he becomes Anarya, non-Arya. That, of course, Manusmriti says it. As a reference to somebody, these people have become Anaryas just because they lost the Arya qualities. So, rest assured, Arya is a quality concept like the concepts in the Varnashrama Dharma of Bharat, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. They are not static concepts. All of them are dynamic concepts. It changes from one to another depending on your acquiring these qualities or acquisition of qualities, etc. The villain role was played by one of the viceroys of Bharat those days, Macaulay by name. So he wanted to prolong the colony situation of Bharat longer, however it is possible. Of course, there is no complete domination possible. Possibly he also must have understood, but wanted to extend it to however possible into future. He finds quite a few difficulties in that. because they were somehow maintaining domination using military etc. forces, which you cannot take the military authority for granted any time. There are so many people in Bharat, things could change. Mostly these things happen because of the normal peace-loving nature of the Hindus. But if they turn violent, then I think situations will be different. So Macaulay wanted to make the people of Bharat accept their domination mentally, kind of voluntarily. He wanted to legitimize the domination through some theories. Later, you find the similar method in about which Marx is speaking, Gramsci is speaking, etc. They call it as intellectual legitimization of social domination. Gramsci calls it as hegemony, and Marx calls it as ideology. No, ideology as domination. Later, Lenin adds to it, saying that there is a different ideology which would lead to revolution, etc. That's a different story. So, the people of Bharat should mentally accept the domination of people, or somehow they want to intellectually legitimize social domination of the British upon Bharat. So, what to do? Then he understands, he finds that first, he, of course, like many people, even today, try to divide the Hindus into castes. But then Macaulay realizes one thing: castes are not a universal phenomenon. They are different in different places. Even within 10 kilometers radius, there will be caste variations. This caste is not can't be equated with other caste, and in different places, different names and different concepts of caste, which means there is no universality of castes. But then he confuses between Varna and caste. That, of course, many people do. The Brahmanas you find all over Bharat. So he unnecessarily got scared. He thought that if the Brahmanas unite, then the Hindus will be united, and the Hindu normally listens to a Brahmana because a Brahmana is expected to be scholar. That subtleties, Macaulay doesn't understand. So he says, he believes that if the Brahmins unites, then there's a possibility that things will go out of their hands. So he wanted to first of all distance Brahmins and non-Brahmins through a lot of planning, programming, wonderful programming he does. So he somehow wanted to distance Brahmins and common people, and then he finds out the real reason for the Hindu pride. He realizes that the Hindu pride rests in their knowledge tradition. I normally call it as the Veda-Upanishadic knowledge tradition. So let me compress it and repeat the same thing. The Hindu pride rests with the Veda-Upanishadic knowledge tradition. So many texts, knowledge. And suppose someone is able to demonstrate to the Hindus that the knowledge tradition which you are very proud of is not really yours. See, look at the programming. The knowledge tradition that you are really proud of is not really yours. That is the program which must have come in his house, in his mind, of course. So he thought, what to do? We have to show to the people that the knowledge tradition is not theirs, and he somehow wanted to prove that that belongs to them, the Britishers. So he was trying. That time Borden Professor Williams was there. He went to Professor Williams with this program, and Williams had some direct experience of Bharat. So he thought, no, this is not going to be a fair game, number one. Number two, it's going to be an unpleasant and dangerous game. So he somehow withdrew. He says, I am already 60 years old, I won't live long to complete it. That is what that's what he told Macaulay. This is what I understand. But then William said, see, look, there's a person who is very young, 30 years old only. His name is Max Muller. He's not British, but he's German. And in Germany, they don't take him serious. They treat him as romantic, like people take Marx as romantic. Max Muller also, they treat as romantic. But then he knows Sanskrit. He can translate from Sanskrit into English or other languages. But one thing is not spoken of, that Max Muller does not speak Sanskrit. He can read and understand. He can't understand spoken when someone speaks, and also he doesn't speak. He doesn't. So this is one thing. It's just said by way of speaking. Then this was programmed. I'll be fast. I will not elaborate. Then the then German ambassador to England takes Max Muller to I think Oxford, where he introduces, where he makes Max Muller meet Macaulay, and they reach an agreement. And Macaulay said, "Would you translate?" Max Muller said, "Yes." And in those days, he made the East India Company, because Bharat is not that time under the control of the British Queen. The East India Company was looking after things. The East India Company was actually the colonizers. The British director of the rule of British came after the 1857 struggle, which is the first struggle for independence of Bharat. The name was given by Swatantra Veer Savarkar as first independent struggle. The British call it as Sepoy Mutiny. Anyway, so those days he made the East India Company offer him £10,000 for this work, and £10,000 is a huge sum at that time, especially for Max Muller, who is economically not stable. He doesn't do anything. Then, of course, like that, Max Muller shifts to Oxford, I suppose, and sits there, and he tries to translate the books from Sanskrit to English, and then now that resulted in the series of books, Sacred Books of the East. Now, Macaulay told this program, it should be such that the translation should not be good. People, those who read translation into English, by then I will teach them, I will create a brand of people who will be new English educated. I will open English schools, and there will be people educated, new English educated, and they'll give them this book to read your translation. But when they read it, they should understand that, or they should feel that these are all gibberish, doesn't mean much. And they should also realize that all these years the Brahmins were deceiving us, saying that the Vedas, Upanishads are great. Now we are able to read it, and they don't mean anything. They are waste, utter gibberish. This was his program. I don't know how how Max Muller tried to make it to destroy a kind of translation. I really don't know, but his translations were not mutilated. They were fairly okay, good. And in the meantime, Macaulay started his English education program, saying that we want English speaking assistants, clerks and assistants, etc. That started. And Max Muller also started his translations. It went on. Now, the point, the real atom bomb, the bomb they were exploding to say, he creates an Aryan invasion theory. The theory simply says that Aryans are the people who comes from some vague area like Mediterranean, etc. Like the Caucasian concept comes with the Caucasus Hills, where the mountain range where Noah's Ark is supposed to have rested. See that vicious connection someone has deliberately projected. That is a different thing. I'm not going into that. Similarly, Max Muller wanted to say that the Aryans are a race. First of all, he said the Aryans are a race. And they have come from some vague area in Mediterranean, some places, he said. And they have come to Bharat. They have come to Bharat and they created the so-called knowledge tradition of Bharat, which is the Veda Upanishadic knowledge tradition. This is what he programmed. Now, from where he got the idea of Aryan theory, Aryan as a race theory, from where he got it, that also has got another interesting background connotation. That is, you see, by then, 17th century, the Europeans, they took to sea. They were great sea voyages they had. And many people, in fact most of the people, were aiming at Bharat. Why? Why Europeans wanted to come to Bharat? They went to all over other places, but mostly to Bharat. Why everyone wanted to come to Bharat? It's because of the riches of Bharat. When they came here, they saw it's a different world. Till then, like a frog in the well, they thought they are everything. They had no idea even then. Now also they have no idea what really Bharat is. They just live within the frame, four walls of their frame, of their minds. Lesser exploring. So when they came to, they came and interacted with sea voyages, interacted with the people, they came across so many things. Then from there they find the terminology Arya. They see people address one another as Arya. Now somehow they got this word into their minds or nerve, because Arya is also used as an honorific term, something like respected sir. Arya is used then also, now also we use it in Bharat. So that time, this many knowledges get transferred from one to another. It's a usual thing. Like from the Punjabi merchants, Tales of Greece had understood the five gross elements. Of course, they are Panchabhutas. They are Tales hears from the Punjabi merchants in Egypt when Tales of Greece was mercenary in Egypt. Tales of Greece comes across the concept of Panchabhutas. He understands them as the elements and he speaks about five gross elements. The theory still goes on. Similarly, the Aryan concept was running around in the minds of scholars. Then, that time, the neo-Christian intellectuals, that is, the new Christian intellectuals, you understand the medieval dark period of Christianity. You understand how these three people, Saint Aquinas and Saint Augustine and of course Saint Anselm, had heavily borrowed from Aristotle. When they borrow from Aristotle, they are indirectly borrowing from Plato, and try to enrich the theology with all kinds of stories. Even Saint Anselm had created an ontological argument to demonstrate the existence of God. Some other time I'll speak about ontological argument. Now, so the Christian intellectuals were, I'm talking about intellectuals, Christian intellectuals found it uncomfortable of the Judaic heritage. Those days, they were persecuting the Jews to that extent, which culminates in Germany with Hitler. We all know it. They were persecuting the Jews to that extent. Now, they wanted to de-link Christians from the Judaic heritage, but they can't help it because Jesus was a Jew. Not only just a Jew, he was a Jewish rabbi. So they created a prototype Aryan Invasion theory from this, based on the sea voyage experiences of those people who ventured in the East. They created a prototype Aryan theory to say that the Christians are not descendants of Jews. They have nothing to do with Jews. They are Aryans who came from some area. So this prototype theory was available to Max Muller. He repeated the same in Bharatiya context to say that all this civilization of Bharat, the Veda Upanishadic knowledge tradition, and whatever you see, are not the creation of people of Bharat. They were created by a race called as Aryans who came from outside. Now, so you have no legitimate claim on the things in which you are proud of. It's actually not yours. Then, of course, the venturing goes, and some other time he was talking about, he described Aryans as, as the golden hair, blue eyed, etc. From there, Hitler gets drunk, Hegel gets drunk. Hegel first gets drunk, and then Hitler gets drunk in Aryan theory, and it resulted in World War. All these things, you remember, you know that. Now, Max Muller had proved his point. He says your civilization is not yours, and we with this kind of descriptions, white skinned and blue eyed and golden eyed people, they have created it. So you have no claim. Therefore, you can't be proud of it. And Macaulay's indirect intention was to Christianize, and his letters, which were published later, stands as witness to this. Now, this backfired Max Muller. This backfired Max Muller in the Franco-Prussian War. Prussia, Germany, wins over France, and the Aryan theory. No, Max Muller described the Aryans in his own fantasy, which his own appearance, that suited more Germans than anyone else in Europe. So that created a German national feeling. It was easy for them to win over France, and then Max Muller got scared because he lives in England. See, England doesn't want one of them, either France or Germany, to be stronger than the other, because if they are equal power, they will contain within themselves, and England will not be disturbed. But if Germany becomes powerful, they lose their sleep in England. So Max Muller got scared. He thought he's already living in England. If the British deport him for this mischief, we have nowhere to go. By then he was 50 years old. At the age of 30 he goes to England, and now he's already 50. He has no time for another battle in life. So he got scared. You know what he does? He goes to the University of Stuttgart and gave a series of lectures saying that I never said Aryan is a race, I never said Aryan is a race. And he invents another theory. It's a linguistic identity. Aryan is a linguistic identity. Greek, some Aramaic, Greek, some languages he says, and like Sanskrit also. So that's a linguistic identity. He tries to wash his hands off. This so backfired. Now from there only Hegel gets influenced in Aryan theory, and Hitler gets influenced, etc., etc. Then the race theory runs. Then all kinds of extensions. Actually, there is no Aryan race. It is fundamentally a quality concept. You are an Aryan, I am an Aryan, if Aryan qualities. They have stipulated qualities. Given those qualities, anybody can be an Aryan. And once you lose the qualities, you instantly becomes an Aryan, an Arya. There is no race. This theory has created havoc, but Bharat did not suffer much from Max Muller's and Macaulay combined the Aryan invasion theory, because First of all, Maharshi Aurobindo, he had destroyed the theory, but he attacked so beautifully. Second, Swami Vivekananda. And our scholars had countered it. It did not have any impact on Bharat because we use the concept of Aryan in a different sense. We use the concept of Aryan as an honorific term practically and a quality concept because Sanskrit tradition, Bharatiya tradition is used to using quality concepts. In fact, most of the Sanskrit concepts, Vedic concepts, are quality concepts, not denotative concepts. They are actually connotative concepts. So we are used to it. So this did not have any effect on us, but it affected the European society, and they really went for a World War II from this. So there are such theories in the world which had destroyed civilizations. Of course, fortunately, the Sanatana Dharma is Sanatana and doesn't get destroyed, hopefully. Doesn't get destroyed as our faith goes. This is the story of Aryan theory, Aryan invasion theory. It never was existing. There was no Aryan invasion. It's something like the Mughals claiming that we created, the Muslims created all the monuments in Bharat. They created Taj Mahal, this thing, that thing. One simple question to both these people I can ask is that if you are responsible for the great architectural marvels in Bharat, then you must have had similar things at least from where you came. You must have had similar things at least from where you came. Same thing to this Aryan theories. If you have created the great civilization of Veda Upanishadic knowledge tradition, at least from where you came, there will be some remnants or leftovers of the beginning of such civilization in the rudimentary sense at least. There's nothing like that. Nobody can identify the place of the origin of the so-called Aryan as a race because it's not a race. Nobody has come to Bharat. As in, the people used to come and go, that is there. People have come and settled, went back, all those things are there. But there is no, there's nothing like an Aryan race coming to Bharat in a group and settling and creating civilization. Nothing of that sort. It doesn't mean that people are not coming and going, but they were hardly coming in groups. They were coming in small groups, coming, getting married, settled down here. You look at the DNA, find out even the Iranian DNA is here. People used to come and go. And many used to settle here. Many used to go out. How the Greeks are connected to Bharat. Look at the Greek Hellenistic religion. There's no Hellenism now, but look at the Greek Hellenistic religion and how is it connected to, how is it similar to Hindu Dharma. These things are there in front of us. So there is no Aryan as a race, and there never was an Aryan invasion. They have not created anything in Bharat, and if they have, somebody was a race, as I told you, there should be some remnants of things from where they came. Now the Mughals, it's all created by them, they claim. That's another mistake, because they have Islamized our people, many of them. And if at all there are Muslims who created these wonders or many artifacts, it's not always the case. But they were all Bharatiya Muslims. They were our people. They knew this knowledge. They had this Sanskriti. They could only change faith. Sanskriti cannot be changed. Those who live in Bharat, the Sanskriti is Bharatiya Sanskriti. That is why they are Bharatiyas. And those unfortunate people who went to Pakistan, they try to ignore the Sanskriti. You can't change it. But then they did not know that they have the Sanskriti. They were all taught only through the madrasa frame of religion. Now they don't know from where they stand. They can never be Arabs. And they already ceased to be archetype Bharatiyas by losing the Sanskriti. Now, these kinds of devastations take place with human beings and the human societies just because of some people's nefarious intentions of creating spurious theories to make their dominations possible, to legitimize their dominations intellectually, which of course Gramsci much later calls as hegemony. This is a very bad and unfortunate situation. There are so many things like that if you go. But then one should know. One should remain conscious of such things. We will discuss again, we will meet things, we will speak about things when we meet again. Till then, Namaste, Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.